Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for another edition of Let's Argue, where I respond to unpopular opinions, hot takes, tough questions over the internet. Let's go! Straight male critics like you lack appreciation for Lana Del Rey's music because they can't relate to the femme dynamic. If a man like Frank Ocean was singing these songs, you'd put in the effort to appreciate it. A bulk of what I've criticized Lana for over the years are just lyrical cliches, the fact that she is just a so-so vocalist, and I find a lot of her early work not to be based on femme dynamics, but femme stereotypes. I mean, it's not like I haven't taken Frank Ocean to task for when I thought his vocals were kind of weak on earlier records. I have. And I think I've done my best to see the progression in Lana's music over the years, because I do think her singing and I do think her songwriting and production has improved since her earlier records. I mean, really what weighed her latest album down are like those terrible trap drums and those rap tracks that just didn't do much for her. I also like how with this tweet you're bringing up just this lack of understanding I have because I'm a man, this implied sexism, and then just underneath this someone brings up, well, he's given Janelle Monáe positive reviews, certainly she's part of the femme dynamic, and then you say, the femme dynamic doesn't equal female artists. Female artists who tend to act like one of the boys usually end up getting more cred from critics, which to even say that Janelle Monáe is just acting like one of the boys is the biggest crock of horse shit I think I've read in 2018. Have you seen her new music video? It's like the most feminine thing ever. And not only that, but it's great. So who's really being sexist as fuck here? ZelooperZ's contributions to avant/art rap need more acknowledgement for how wild and left field they are, particularly Elevators, ISBD, and much of the Help mixtape. I kind of agree with this. I mean, ZelooperZ was certainly ahead of the curve when it comes to a lot of this screaming, crazy, over-the-top SoundCloud rap that we hear right now. Was he the first rapper to just be kind of yelling his brains out on a track? No, most certainly not. But as far as this sound that's currently blowing up on SoundCloud and in the mumble rap community is concerned, he kind of got to home base before a lot of them. Do you think Drake is a cultural appropriator? I mean, when it comes to dancehall and Jamaican music, most certainly yes. However, I don't think Drake is alone in this. I think most people in the music industry these days are borrowing something from outside of themselves, whether it be culturally or generationally. No artist is an island, so to confront every person making a song or a piece of art that borrows from a piece of culture that they aren't directly connected to is ridiculous, because to police that, to actually enforce that, you'd literally have to be chasing after every single friggin' artist. And what's so funny about this conversation now is that we're so far beyond being able to clean any of this up. The music industry as it stands currently is based on generations of cultural appropriation to get us to this point. Even if you took all the musicians and all the artists and separated them and segregated them and said, you gotta sound like this, you gotta sound like this, you can't do this, you have to do that, there's no hitting the reset button on this. We're too far gone. From here on out, what I think the sensible conversation is whether or not the artist borrowing from a piece of culture outside of themselves, are they tributing that culture? Are they respecting it? And are they doing that sound? Are they doing that type of music justice? Which you're just gonna have to take on a case-by-case basis. Sometimes it's gonna be yes, sometimes it's going to be no, sometimes there's going to be a gray area there where a majority of people disagree. I love Touche Amore and La Dispute, but I don't think for a second they should be considered screamo, save for some of Touche's earlier songs. Okay, so they shouldn't be considered screamo. You don't list here what genre you think they should be. Are they bluegrass? The experimentation in Burzum's music is sadly overlooked because of Varg's criminal offenses. His overall impact in metal and quality of his music is extremely underappreciated. Well, I mean, you know, he's also a little bit of a dick. But with all of that being said, yeah, some people are going to overlook the artistry of an individual because of that person's actions. And I feel like A lot of that has to do with the fact that people want to have a personal and an emotional connection, at least in the abstract, with the person who actually made the art that they are having a personal and an emotional connection to. And I think for a lot of people that involves and that includes feeling like they identify with the person ideologically or personally, or they couldn't even imagine this person doing A, B, C, or D. And I feel like this kind of comes down to this weird expectation that a lot of people have that the people who make music that we enjoy are good people, they're great people, they're exceptional people, which is not necessarily the case at all. I mean, some of the most seedy, disgusting, and ethically compromised individuals I've ever met in my entire life have been in the music industry. And being able to put together music or even innovate within the musical realm, as much as art requires one to have emotion, it also requires a lot of methodical understandings of chord progressions and rhythm and so on and so forth. It's very mathematical, it's very cerebral. It's something that both great people and horrible people are capable of achieving. Look at Phil Spector, musical innovator, great composer, groundbreaking producer, convicted murderer. Ghost fans who say that the band aren't cool anymore because they aren't as mysterious or are too goofy must be from another universe. The whole concept for the band is rather silly, and as long as the music is still good, why should it matter whether or not they're changing it up? I kind of agree with this. I mean, Ghost fans, or allegedly fans, who don't really appreciate the band's kitsch and their campiness. I mean, they've been campy since the start. Have they grown a little bit more campy over time? Sure, maybe to a degree, but I think the reason that that is because that's always been kind of the aspiration and the vision. And they didn't necessarily have the means to achieve at the start that they do right now. So of course they're trying to take that vision, they're trying to take that theatrical, that dramatic vision of the band to another level, while hopefully improving things on the musical front. Yeah, I mean, I'm hyped for the next Ghost album. I'm hyped. How are you vegan and still fat? Well, because you gain weight based on whether or not you're overeating as far as caloric intake. And I'm a bit of a night owl, and I have a very bad habit of eating after hours. Like if I'm up working or something, you know, I'll have a little something like around midnight or something like that. However, I have cut out that behavior recently entirely, and I've actually lost some weight as a result. I just don't like eat past 9 o'clock, and you know, I have my breakfast around like 8 or 9, and just kind of staying on that consistency, and also, you know, hitting the gym a few days a week and running a few days a week. It's put me on a better track. There you go. There's just way too much personal information in this video. Whenever a female rap artist makes it big, they can't coexist with another for some reason. For example, Cardi B's newfound popularity makes most people think that Nicki Minaj's career is over. This is a sad, sad fucking fact, and I just don't know when we're going to get past it. For a while in the indie scene, we also had this kind of a similar obsession with whenever a girl band would kind of rise to the top and gain attention in the media. And it's like, oh wow, here's a girl band, that's a novelty, it's a band, and it's all women, and they're all musicians. And honestly, like, to sort of categorize women playing music as if it's like a separate genre or a separate lane. I mean, it's always great to see female artists coming up, and while women's lived experiences may draw them to different artistic conclusions than their male counterparts, they can make rap just like the boys can, they can make dumb SoundCloud shit just like the boys can, they can make rock music and metal music just like the boys can, they can make noise music just like the boys can, they can make avant-garde music just like the boys can. I feel like the stereotype comes from a few different places. One, the fact that you have so many women on Cardi B's or on Nicki Minaj's level that it almost seems like just naturally there's a competition going on just because there are so few females to speak of. And hip-hop naturally has an element of competition to it, and it would be kind of weird to sort of see a male rapper just mercilessly going at a female rapper just like crazy in songs and like in public and so on and so forth. It would just be like, I don't know, probably not a very good PR move. And I feel like vice versa, it wouldn't look very good in the public eye either. So it's almost like if you're a female rapper, you're almost limited to beefing with other female rappers. And I'm just saying that in terms of cultural expectations at large. Is that something I would like to see change personally? Probably. And then second, I feel like there are a lot of men out there, and even women, who, like, when they see another woman do something like, whoa, you made a song, whoa, you created a life-saving drug. Whoa, you built this or you did that. Whoa, women do things. Wow. Yes. Women do things. If not for their image, Misfits would just be considered a normal punk rock and hardcore band and not horror punk. There isn't much horror-like things from what I've heard in their music aside from a few examples. I haven't listened to all of their music, so I could be wrong. I mean, a lot of the material in their music is like inspired by horror movies. They sing about like monsters and skulls and serial killers and vampires. They're the definition of horror punk. I mean, did they need to work in like ghouls and ghost sound effects and in order for it to like be horror punk? I don't vibe. I don't vibe with this tweet. I don't vibe with it. You called Mount Erie's Now Only rambling when the last Sun Kil Moon album was more incoherent and random with less beautiful instrumentation but still received a 9? Question mark. 1, I still like the new Mount Erie album. It's still a pretty good record, and it's not just that I thought that Phil's approach was rambly. Certainly Mark's approach is rambly as well. But I don't find that style of songwriting and lyricism to really be one of Phil's strengths. Or if it's going to be, it's something he's going to need to be working on for a little bit. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous for you to pit these two artists against each other, despite the fact that Phil has acknowledged that Mark's style influenced him on this record. And it's not like there isn't a threshold of this rambliness for me when it comes to Mark's music. I have been critical of him going in this direction in the past. Not every record he's made in this style I thought has been good. Benji was not his first to sort of do this more rambly narrative style, and I was pretty critical of his Universal Themes album, and I thought a lot of the records he dropped throughout 2017 weren't that great. Sure, I loved Common as Light, but a lot of his other stuff I just thought was so-so, or too indulgent, or maybe even a little too rambly. So to sort of act like I'm just not critical of Mark, or that I don't see flaws in Mark's music ever at the expense of Phil's music is kind of ludicrous. And I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you guys for watching this latest installment of Let's Argue. This was a good one. This was a good one. We had fun. We had a fun time. I love you, love you, love you, love you. Anthony Fantano. Over here next to my head is another video you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel forever.